Today we're going to be discussing the fact that Starbucks cold brew coffee is better than homemade cold brew coffee. And I know what you're thinking. Why does she get to talk about coffee like she's a coffee connoisseur? Like, what's up with her? Basically, I just really like cold brew. And that's the only thing I drink from Starbucks now because I love it so much. Besides water. You always gotta stay hydrated. But first things first, we have to go over a couple things. The difference between cold brew from Starbucks, cold brew that's made at home, and also iced coffee, because there's a spectrum. So, if we're discussing just cold brew, it is coffee beans that are brewed with cold water. So it takes them longer to get all the good stuff out of the beans so the coffee tastes good. Where iced coffee is brewed within a matter of minutes, and it's hot water, and it's cooled in the fridge and then poured over ice. So not too big of a difference, but the taste is very different. So let's go ahead and start with Starbucks cold brew. So my sister is actually a Starbucks barista, and I got the inside scoop on how they make their cold brew, which consists of, in the morning when they open, they get all the beans going in some water, and then that sits until the next morning. So it sits for probably 24-ish hours to get all the richness and good stuff, caffeine, everything out of the bean. Starbucks cold brew has a pretty high caffeine level. It's about 20 milligrams more per ounce. I'm pretty sure. It's about 20 milligrams more per ounce than regular coffee. So quite a bit more. But cold brew actually has a lower acidity. Not much lower, but sometimes people with certain stomach issues, it's better for them to drink cold brew than to drink hot coffee, but it's recommended not to drink coffee at all because it's really not great for you. Cold brew coffee also has a very smooth texture and like a very rich taste. You can really taste everything from the bean. I don't know how to explain it. I just think it tastes so much better than normal coffee, even iced coffee. It's just, cold brew's so good. So you're sitting here, you're like, okay, you're just raving about cold brew. Like, why should you get it from Starbucks and not from home? Just look at that drink. Look at that vanilla sweet cream cold brew. How their cold brew coffees are made compared to how their iced coffees are made is rather different too, because iced coffee, you start with a little bit of espresso, lots of milk, then your ice, and then you're like, here you go. And with the cold brew, it's mainly coffee with a little bit of syrup, if you even want that, and ice, obviously, because it's an iced coffee beverage. Here we have a homemade cold brew, and the bad thing about brewing your own cold brew is the fact that you don't know how much caffeine is going to be in that, where Starbucks actually has determined how long they need to get the beans set for, and a few other scientific-y things that you don't necessarily have at home. But if the amount of caffeine you can consume doesn't really, I'm so sorry. If it doesn't really bother you, then you don't really need to be worried about it. Also, cold brew you make yourself. You can add literally whatever you want. Starbucks cold brew, not necessarily, but you can basically add whatever you want if they have it in their store. Overall, I think in this situation, we are equating with easier with better, and since it's not very fun to let something soak and you have to wait 12 to 36 hours before you can actually enjoy the thing that you're trying to make, I just prefer to buy cold brew from Starbucks. Or an even easier option is to get like the bottles of cold brew that they sell at like Dillon's from Starbucks, and you just have like a quart of cold brew that you can just drink whenever you want. So yeah, I hope you learned something about coffee today, and that's about it. The next time you go to Starbucks, if we ever get out of this quarantine, maybe consider getting a cold brew instead of whatever you normally get. Unless you normally get a cold brew, then good for you, you're already on it.